My water.
Oh, God,
Isn't that lovely?
for that.
So what we'd like to do is, man,
Ray's going to lead you through the book here, so you hold on to that for a moment. Okay?
everybody here is going to read a little section of the book. And I'm going to start off with Damien to read the introduction part of it. Right? Which is basically...
Might as well stand, huh?
Jeez, I'll have to buy new glasses.
You know, man, I know a good place. I'll be going back in about a week.
These are strong. Here, put them on your lamp. Let me see that.
See, I have another pair. I
Put them on your lamp. You'll be able to see it then.
Oh, this is right in the eyes, I can't.
They're waiting to see that.
Okay, Raymond wants me to read this to you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So,
Is that better?
stay with me. If you go to, if you could sit there, you just go to the same page. Okay, this is an introduction that Raymond wrote for the book. They say there is a book in us all. Well, that's what they say, and I realised there was definitely a book in Ma, and it was time to write it. Sometime in October 2015, I decided to get some photos together and write out a few of her stories. I never realised the treasure that was out there. Once I started to talk to friends and relatives, the stories grew and grew. It has been a wonderful journey for me to assemble a history of stories and memories of Anne Carroll. As I listened to the stories, I saw the love and respect everyone has for my mum. So many people have helped me right up to the final day. Thank you all for the time, and to those who contributed with stories of Ma, a special thank you. I will never be able to thank you enough. Most of all, I have to thank Ma'am for just being who she is. This book is for me a labour of love, one that was very much overdue. Why? Well, it's straightforward really. All she ever gave us was everything. The least we could do was to say thank you and create a book of memories. From Raymond, November 2016.
Very good, very good. You can keep it open, Matt.
It's a while ago.
Okay, right.
I basically went back to when
This is your
when I decided to write this book. I decided to go back to Ma's birth.
Ma,
Good place to start.
I hope I don't owe anybody.
no, the bill will come later.
That's on page 89, don't worry, but we'll get to that again. So,
You need to listen to Ray.
from, this is where do you start a book about the person you want to write about? This is I'll do from the beginning. So, in the beginning, on a wild and windy day in February 1928, the 11th to be exact, as the wind howled in the brisk February weather, a young girl was born to Margaret and James Deering. And seriously, do you really think I know what the weather was like that day? Well, Anne Deering was to be the first of 5 children. She will have 2 brothers, Chris and Shay, and 2 sisters, Maureen and Mary. Excuse me. Now, Anne's journey included some of the world's changing events, including World War II, recessions throughout the times, and along the way she met some famous people. She raised a large family, and over the years there has been joy, happiness, excitement and sadness. These are just a few of the stories and a snapshot of Ma's life so far.
Anne is known by many names. Anne to her friends, Nan to her own family, Nana to her grandchildren, Miss Carroll to her daughters-in-law, and to me and my brothers and sisters, it was simply... And to me and my brothers and sisters, it was simply Ma. A lady in the truest sense of the word.
Now we're going on to page, sorry you got this guys, I'm totally messed up in my head.
No, you're grand.
Relax, alright.
Go back 1 month.
You're doing great, Raymond.
We're going on to page 16.
Okay.
Page 16.
Who's doing this?
I'm going to ask John to do it again if he doesn't mind. When you're looking at the woman you're writing about, you have to look at her history and where she came from, who her father was, who her mother was. So I basically did a little bit on her father and her mother. If you wouldn't mind.
My father served in the British Army in the First World War. In 1939 he went to England hoping to find some work, as there was none here in Ireland. However, when he got there was no jobs to be found, so he joined the army again. When he'd come home on the boat, he'd always looked as if he put on weight, as he'd made a large pouch to go under his coat. It was full of tea and other goodies, and I'd be asked to share it out among the neighbours. My father saw a lot of the world travelling with the army, from Bristol to Burma, Manchester to Malta, and my father had a saying, if you are working, Ireland is the best place to live. My father was a chef in the army, and after the war he had made dishes for us all from all over the world. This was a real treat, as the food was still rationed for years after the war. To have a curry nowadays is commonplace, but after the war, it was a rarity. My father had many skills, from carpentry to cooking, sewing to slating. When we moved into Devonish Road, an extension was built. My father put his skills in carpentry to good use in making the kitchen units.
And along came a few hours later. I'm sorry, I'm actually going back. Page 28.
Right.
I'm reading off something else. Damien,
Yeah.
actually Dave, if you could read this one, this is along with where there's father, there's always a mother,
Page 28, yeah.
and Nana we all knew. So I said I had to write about her.
My mother. My mother was a loving woman with a wicked sense of humour.
28.
Mags her to her friends. As I grew up and had children of my own, my mother was always there in the background, lending a helping hand. Anne's mother Margaret. You see the picture?
See that picture with the trousers?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to read it in a few
I
minutes,
had to
man.
ask me father.
Yeah, it's in it, it's in it.
It's in it, man. It's in it. We're actually going to read it in a second.
There's the
We're actually going to read it in a second.
Just listen to Dave.
Mother Margaret. As a very young girl, on these long hot summer days, my mother brought all of us to either Stephen's Green or Sandymount Beach. 2 in the pram and 2 walking with a pot of tea for a penny. Yes, I did say a penny. A big metal teapot holding 4 or 5 cupfuls. And we'd plenty in Stephen's Green Park. Oh yes, the simple things in life are sometimes the best. On a hot day, it was off to the beach, and the chance of a Coblo's ice cream was a real treat. Even to this day, I can remember that ice cream and a dip in the sea. We'd strip down to our vest and underwear and go for a swim. During the war years, we didn't have much. We didn't have real butter, so we used margarine. And to be honest, it was awful. And then there was the dripping and bread. With a ration on most foods, the likes of eggs were a rarity. Bread was black because of the white flour was sent to the army. And meat was a luxury. My mother always made sure there was hot food on the table and clothes on our backs. As the oldest of my family, I was picked to go to the shops. I was handed the ration, books, and off I'd go. During the war, there was 2 kinds of ration books, one for adults and one for children. And no, I wasn't able to get sweets and lemonade with a children's book.
My ma told me a story once about what she calls black babies. Page 20. Maybe to page 20. And to be honest, it took me ma 10 minutes to finish the story, because 2 seconds into it, because she knew the ending, she was telling it, she was laughing. And I said, you know what, if it makes me ma laugh that much, it has to go into the book. So Eunice, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. I'll leave them, sorry, Nana. You alright?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just listen to this one.
Thanks, Dave.
This is name of it. The Black Babies, from Anne. When I was about 7, there was a nun in my primary school who was always asked us for a penny for the Black Babies. I was walking by the Palace Cinema yesterday and I saw posters on the wall asking for money for the Black Babies. So I wanted to remind you to ask your parents to give a penny for the Black Babies. Of course, when we asked our parents, the answer was always no. You're not getting any money for any babies. On one particular morning, my mother asked me to bring 1 and 6, that's an old money, to the younger people, up to my granny who lived upstairs from us. Well, I didn't bring it up. I went to school and I gave the 1 and 6 to the nun for the Black Babies. Well, after school I walked home and just as I got to my house, I heard my mother's voice. Come here, you. What did you do with that 1 and 6? I gave it to the Black Babies, I said with pride.
There was more, don't you?
You did what? Well, I was bet into the house. My granny came down to us after a while. She gave it to the nuns for the Black Babies. My mother said, Holy Jesus! She did what? And with that, my granny grabbed her coat, and with a look that could turn water to ice, she marched me back to the school that evening. By the time we got to the school, my granny was livid and nearly ripped the headdress off the nun when she saw her. Within a minute, my granny got the money back. And that was the end of me and the nun asking my mother for money for the Black Babies.
You're there, man. You're there.
Very good.
There's a picture of you, man. See? Now, many years later, during the war, that's my mother always told us a story. During the war, we were never allowed to wear long trousers. And there was one particular story that she always said to all of us, probably, well, all the children, hopefully the grandchildren most. So I said, you know what, this really has to go into it, because the ending is classic. To be honest with you, wouldn't mind.
From Anne. My father was very much into keeping discipline. And when we were dancing, we were under strict instructions to be home at an agreed time, and not a minute after. My father was in many ways a man of his time, traditional and head of his house. He always made us sure we were dressed appropriately, in particular us girls. However, during the late 1940s, times started to change in the fashion. On one occasion, I bought a pair of trousers. Back then, it was very unusual for a young woman to wear trousers, also called pants. Anyway, I bought the trousers and put them into my bag, and off I went around to my friend's house to try them on. I wonder if my smile was as big as hers. It was my first pair of trousers and I was very excited. But I also knew it was my father caught me. He had gone mad. What can I say? They looked great on me. I don't know what came over me, but I even had a picture taken on me wearing them. What was I thinking? Maybe a big, but not that was beautiful. Right, there we go.
Now, through the years, you turn to page 34. Through the years, Mum has had particular friendships with people. And I wrote down 3 or 4 friendships. So I got... My ma is very quite personable. One of the people I actually went to was Eileen O'Connor. Bernie's daughter.
Bernie's daughter.
Yeah.
Eileen.
Bernie's daughter, ma, that worked in Clares and Wills.
Oh, yeah.
Her daughter, Eileen. Eileen sent, Raymond spoke to Eileen about the book.
And we got some pictures.
Yeah. and some stories. So you're looking at them there. Page 34. You just go to 34.
It was Bernie Quinlan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bernie Quinlan's daughter, man.
Quinlan.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Peter.
yeah,
Yeah, her daughter.
yeah.
Raymond went to visit her.
I've got some photographs. Page 34.
Oh my God.
There you go. You haven't seen this.
There we go.
There we go.
So if
Maureen.
Dave takes over and reads the Maureen.
Maureen. Over the years, my mum has made many friends. I know my mum loves her brothers and sisters, but Maureen and my mum had a special bond from a young age. In her teens and early 20s, they worked together in Pleasant Wills, went to dances together, and spent many of a weekend away together. As they got older, their bond became stronger. As marriage and the kids came along, the conversation turned from where wasn't the past dance to go to, the babysitting and bargain shopping. For as long as I can remember, most Fridays were bargain hunting days for Mam and Maureen. Bargain hunting meant one thing: hitting the markets. Mom always brought home bags full of stuff, from clothes to wool, bed linen to knickknacks, and without fail, there were always 3 jam Swiss rolls somewhere in the bags. Only home 2 minutes, with a cuppa in her hand, she'd be back on the phone to Maureen chatting away. And when all the children were old enough, the weekends away were back, and to places like the Glen Eagle Hotel in Kerry.
Okay, this is one that was sent in by a conversation Raymond had with Eileen, right? So this is the next page. Oh no, you're right. You're right.
You're on the right page.
So Bernie, Quinlan, O'Connor and Mam have been friends since the late 40s. They met while working on the assembly lines in Wales. The girls in Wales gave Bernie the nickname the Jewess due to her Mediterranean features. It was probably not a good idea for Bernie and Mam to work together, because when they got the giggles... Maybe you should just leave it.
Yeah.
No, because it's not supposed to be here. I wouldn't answer. Actually, when it stops, take it off the book so it can't happen again. I'll give it a minute.
That's so bad. Someone's asking somebody.
No, she wouldn't be ringing here. There's no one here. What's that?
That's probably one of your neighbours ringing up. Any margarine? We ran out of margarine in the house. And do you remember the song that they made up in
Oh, no,
Devonish?
right, just make sure it's on.
We all live
Just
on
check it.
bread and margarine. And it
Listen
was
to it for a
the
second.
Beatles song, We All Live in the Yellow
Oh,
Submarine.
it's on?
Yeah.
Right, just leave it off. Yeah. Are we cool? Okay, it probably wasn't a good idea for Bernie and Mam to work together, because when they got the giggles, no work could be done and the tobacco leaves were thrown in the air with good fun and lots of laughs. Working together was never dull. Every year at Christmas, Bernie and her family came to see us. Stories were told and laughter was loud. As the years passed, it felt like Bernie's family grew up with us. It has been many years since Bernie passed away, but her daughter Eileen keeps in touch by phone and has made trips to see Mam when she was in hospital.
Now, many years later, there was a lady introduced to my mother through a sewing machine, and they became friends. And this is the story about Phyllis Daly.
Okay, who do you want to do this?
Please.
Okay, so this is Phyllis. Phyllis, a down to earth and salt of the earth lady, had been around for as long as I can remember. Phyllis and Mam had been friends since the early 70s. They first met when Mam got a knitting machine and Phyllis was asked to show Mam how to use it. They hit it off straight away, and little did they know the years of chatting and knitting that were ahead of them. They went away to all the weekends that were organised by St Bernadette's Club in Clogher Road. They spent many a night knitting woolen dolls and having a laugh. Of course, they also spent many hours chatting on the phone, but they had a system. Phyllis called Mam, and after 55 minutes, she hung up, and then it was Mam's turn to call Phyllis back straight away. That way, they didn't get a huge phone bill, as they could talk for 59 minutes for free. Over the years, the dolls that Mam and Phyllis knitted became more elaborate. until one day I came home from school only to find a family of dolls. 2 of the dolls were nearly 4 foot tall, and alongside were 2 smaller dolls. Well, my face said it all. Phyllis and my mum had finally gone crackers. My mum also made lifelong friends on Devonish Road. They included the Aldens, Kellys, Brents, Williams, Brophies, and many, many more.
Now, once upon a time, Ma and Maureen went out to dances. And we turn to page 56.
Yep.
This one dance would change my Ma's life forever.
Okay. Okay. This is written in your voice, so it's your story of how of the night. 56. 56.
Hold on,
You can flick back. You can flick back later to see the other stuff. One and again.
That's it.
There we go.
Okay.
Now.
So this is in Anne's voice herself. Saturday night was a night to go out, so Maureen and myself decided to go to a dance that we heard about in the Olympic Ballroom just off Camden Street. So with our hair and lipstick done and our best dresses on, we were set for a good night dancing. Problem was, when we got there, we realised that it was a country music dance. So Maureen and I decided it was not for us. There was another place called the Four Provinces, which was just a few minutes away on Harcourt Street, so we made our way there. As we walked in, we looked around the room to see if we knew anyone, and there was Jimmy Deering, our cousin. We went over to chat with him and catch up. Jimmy told us it was a plasterers dance and that he was invited to it. A man approached and asked Maureen to dance, and as me and Jimmy were chatting, another man came up to us and asked Jimmy who I was. Jimmy turned and introduced us. Anne, this is Aidan. Aidan, this is Anne. Aidan invited me to have some lemonade and asked me to dance. This handsome man drove me and Maureen home, and at the end of the night we arranged a date a few days later. The day of our first date arrived. I had arranged to meet your dad at St. Bernard's Church, which was just up the road from me. I arrived a few minutes early, and I waited and waited and waited some more. Your dad never turned up. I was so annoyed I went down to a friend's house just a few doors down from me to talk to her about what had happened. As we chatted, my friend convinced me to give Aidan another chance. So I went back up to the church to see if he was there. Yes, he was there. Your dad was there waiting for me. I'm sorry, my car broke down. It ran out of petrol. We courted for 12 months and got married on the 8th of September 1954, and we started our lives together. When Anne met Aidan, she was caught in a trance. He took her right hand. Will you give me a chance? I'll be your Superman. I'll be your bow. I'll always protect you wherever you go. He was handsome and slim, and to Anne it was clear he'd be her husband in about a year. So they danced and they danced like a proper old couple. They were totally invisible, as if in a bubble. When the clock finally chimed, it was time to go. I'll see you next week. Perhaps we'll go to a show. As she stood back and smiled and thanked him a lot, she knew one thing for sure: a poet he's not. Despite his silly old verses and his rhyming line, he's the beau I've been chasing since the beginning of time.
And Mum and Dad got married, moved in to 1 or 2 houses,
They were still in the country, yeah.
and trying to bring 4 or 5 kids out and 6 and 7 kids out at one point was a nightmare. So Ma had a system. And if you go to page, Dave, if you go to page 66, Ma had a great system. Yeah. If you just go up to Sean there for a second. Okay. Yeah. It was about basically what we call the lineup. And Ma had strict rules, and this was the rules of the lineup.
When we were young, it was a big job for Mum.
No, the two of them were with him.
Yeah, we'd probably like to see, alright, they'll probably Because
Won't be a second.
is he making strange?
No, I don't know, just because he can't sit still or something. So.
Yeah, it's just tired. Well, sorry, Sean, go on.
Yeah, when we were young, it was a big job for Mum to get us all cleaned up and ready to go out. So as the other kids got themselves ready, Mum had to get the younger ones cleaned up and dressed. Of course, boys being boys, there was always time for at least one of us to get a little untidy, so came the inevitable line up. As Dad was getting the car ready, Mum then got dressed up, hair done, makeup up, and the lipstick in place. Mum then had us all lined up for one last inspection, and with one comb in hand and a cloth hanky in the other, and prayed there was no dirt on your face. Why? Because a spit arrived on the corner of the hanky, and then the hanky wiped your face. Yes, back in the day, the smell of that lipstick was strong. The fusion of a little spit on that hanky and lipstick made a potent odour, but to be honest, we were all clean and tidy for a bit.
I can smell it now.
Well, at least for the first 5 minutes anyway. I like to think that Dad was always glad he was not part of the lineup. To this day, the smell of lipstick holds a memory which I've never forgotten.
Which is now why I go out with a farmer's daughter who doesn't wear makeup at all. Never mind lipstick.
Oh, we were going to a wedding there.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
Now, a few years beforehand, came the knock. Sorry, just
What page is it?
page 82. And if I can find it for you, man, because this story that my mother told me, and when I first heard it, I actually thought she was joking, and
Then you found it on Google, and then you knew it was right.
and then I knew it was right. That actually really did happen. So Dave, if you wouldn't mind, go for this one.
Knock, knock. From Anne. When the older children were small, from Aidan to Anne, there were always other kids in the house. Devonish Road was a great place to live. And one reason was because neighbours looked out for each other's kids. So on this particular day, there was many more kids in the house than usual. My mother and I were having a cup of tea when knock knock was heard at the door. As I answered the door, there stood a woman. She was giving out free Marge.
Free Marge. Margarine.
You're not telling
Margarine.
Marge, so that's it. She explained that she was giving out £1 or £2 to anyone with a few kids. But as she looked at all the kids sitting in the stairs, she turned to me and asked if they were all my kids. God, yes, I answered. Well, a little white lie never hurt anyone. Anne and 4 or 5 of her friends were sitting in the stairs. Aidan, Brian and Ronnie were in the sitting room, and David was wandering around. Still is. Well, the woman looked at all the kids and turned to give me a big box of Marge. I think you will need it. Just before the woman left, she turned and asked if she could use the toilet. Back in the good old days, the toilet was in the back of the house. You could see it was almost outside the house. Being me, a polite woman, I said of course, and directed her towards the toilet. I went back into the kitchen and finished a cup of tea with my mother. After a few minutes, my mother said she could hear a knock coming from the back garden. I went outside forgetting she was even there. And a voice from the toilet, "Do you have any toilet roll?" So I went inside and ripped some newspaper up and handed it under the door. As I went back inside, my mother turned and said that Maureen and Mary always had real toilet paper in their homes.
Now,
Well,
this
if
is what
it's
you
good
told
enough-
me, so this can't be a lie.
Well, if it's good enough for my ass, newspapers is good enough for her ass. My mother was not amused. Of course, the reason I never had any toilet paper was because my sons, whom I won't name, Brian, Aidan and Ronnie, always threw the paper down the toilet
Along with the boys, tools, knives and forks and coal, anything that was not nailed down.
Coded. Shows the code down.
That's next story after that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, now, we had a famous dog. Infamous dog. This dog had a reputation. And one such story, I'll read this one.
Yeah.
What page are we on?
We're on the next page, see?
The knife, the fork.
This was a story that Ma told me, and every time she told me, she smiled and she laughed, and she could see her own mother's face. And it's basically one day, my ma brought Aidan to the dentist. But that actually isn't the story. The story is when on the way back, Ma saw I'll read it. My mother offered to babysit the kids, as she did on so many occasions, although we didn't think my mother would ever actually forget this particular day. After the dentist was sorted, Aidan and I were just in eye shot of home, and I saw my mother standing at the garden gate with her coat on, hat on, bag in her hand, and a terrified look on her face. "Never ask me to mind your kids again. That Brian fella, he's a terror." "What happened?" I asked. "He tried to cut the hair off Rex's back with a kitchen knife. He's terrified me." Well, to be honest, I started to smile to myself. And my mother turned around. "Why are you smiling?" "Don't worry about it, man. The noise in this house wouldn't cut, but they couldn't hurt themselves. Otherwise they'd kill each other."
Oh no.
Now, in between, when the mother was growing up, she had a few jobs. She had one in an egg factory. She had the ration book job of going down and getting all the messages when she was really young. And then she got her first big time job.
Go back to it again.
And I'm going to pass this over to Luke. Page 88. This was the first job that my mother was actually getting real wages at.
Oh.
And made some lifetime friends. And it is the best rapper in town, yes.
Yeah, the first line is great. I started working in Wales when I was 17 and I was a stripper, and a pretty good one. Don't worry, it's not what you think. For anyone too young to remember, Wills was a cigarette factory in South Circular Road, and back in the golden age of the 40s, Wills employed thousands of people. My job was to strip down the tobacco leaves from the centre stem. See, I told you it was not what you were thinking. I worked on an assembly line with a woman called Jean O'Brien. Many years later, Jean's daughter Eunice met my son David, and now they have 3 boys of their own. I made some lifetime friends while working there. Bernie Quinlan O'Connor was one such lady. Bernie and I worked together on the line. Maureen and Mary also worked there. I remember when Maureen had only started and she was picked on by another young girl on the line. Well, I wasn't going to let anybody bully my little sister, so I hit her. I know, not very ladylike. Anyway, the bully's big sister intervened, and after I spoke to her, she made sure my sister was never messed with Maureen again. Even today, I meet someone in the shop and I hear, "Are you Anne Deering?" And we catch up on 50 years in 10 minutes as we chat.
Hello, Luke.
Now, a long time ago, my mother used to be, especially in Devonish, she'd have a big chair up against the fire. And it was usually myself, Connor and Hilary would be left in the house because we were too young to go out on our own. So my mother decided, I have a game that I'm going to play. And it terrified me as a kid because I was only 4 and 5. And it was basically called the Claw Monster, which is on page 92. Which is the next page, man. Now, as a young child, Mum always sat on the armchair beside the fire, and sometimes, and just sometimes, when it would be Hilary, Connor and me, the monster appeared. Mum scrunched up her face, slightly hunched her body, and curled up her fingers and into claws, and all of a sudden it appeared, the Claw Monster Tickler. Not getting up from the chair, the monster would try to catch us and tickle us until we couldn't take it anymore. Now Hilary, Connor and I would stand just out of reach of the monster's claws and slightly pushing each other, and we tried to push each other into the monster's grip. If we were lucky, and only if we were lucky, one of the others would be on your side for one moment and against the other. But don't worry, that only lasted for a moment, as loyalty is fleeting. All's fair in love and war, as they say. So my loving brother or sister would often change sides and would throw me into the claws of the monster. Then I was caught and being tickled and tickled until it was a quivering mess, and then let go again. And within a few minutes, the claw monster was trying to catch another prey.
Oh.
There was a story that when I stretched out to people, I asked, is there any chance you'd be able to give me a story for the book? And Damien was, as the oldest, he was the first person to come along. And I said, man, is there any chance you'd be able to give me a story? I'm writing this. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm writing this book. Can you give me a story about when you, man? So Damien threw this at me one day by email. And it was actually the first story I actually wrote into the book. And I built the book up around it. Because I didn't know where it was going originally. And if Damien can actually take this one.
Okay, this is a story about Aidan and I on our way home from school, and Raymond has titled it "Mess with My Kids, Will You?" When I was about 7, Aidan and I were walking home from primary school. We were walking across Durrow Roads Green when we were stopped by Tommy, known as Jack Coleman, and another guy. They wouldn't let us pass. They kept pushing us to the ground. They kept us there for nearly 20 minutes. As soon as we got home, we told Ma what happened, and she went ballistic. "Where's my coat? Right, I'm going to fix this. He's not getting away with it. Aidan, mind the baby. I'll be back as quickly as I can." Next thing we knew, she was running up Devonish to Bangor Road. Where is she go? What is she going to do? I don't know. About half an hour later, she arrived back. "Okay, that's been sorted. You'll never have a problem with Tommy Coleman again. I told Mrs. Coleman how angry I was, and if she or her husband didn't sort him out today, I was going to the police. She knew I was very serious. I realised that day that she was always going to be there for me if I ever got into any trouble." That was a good feeling.
Just one second, clear up. When you go on to page 123, I have to actually throw myself forward a bit. Over the years, Ma has come up with these great sayings.
Who's he like?
Right. And we're going to read that one actually in a second, Ma. That story. I've skipped forward. See how many people can actually remember these.
Okay.
Right?
Remember these, man. These are phrases you used to use.
These are phrases you've used in the past 50 years. From Damien.
What page
No, I'm going to read this out now.
What page is it?
Page 123. Well, for a start, when we were all young.
Show that
Yeah, well, sure.
I'll show her afterwards, yeah.
We're going to show it afterwards.
You need to listen to Raymond then.
Okay, go ahead, Raymond, we're there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I basically call them Ma-isms because there's no other word for it. I've only heard my mother say a lot of these things. One of them is, "Come here, wait till I tell you what happened," and the story will start. Or when we were kids, "Wait till your father gets home." When my mother got angry, it was usually, "Jesus, I'm going to end up a Grange Coleman pit because of you." And usually what happened straight after that was, "Where's the poker? Where's the poker? I'm going to get you with the poker." Now, to be honest, for a long time, I thought I had the best name in the world. Right? And it usually starts off with, "Damien, Ronnie, Brian, David, Connor, Raymond, will you do me a favour?" Or we go down the shops. Now, somewhere along the line, "Go ask me arse," came out of my mother's mouth. And it's not that often because she usually doesn't curse. Or if she's being really smart about something, God, he thinks he's the cat pajamas. Now usually this was about Dave, but it probably applied to all of us. God, he'd eat us out of house and home, wouldn't he? And directly after that it was, his eyes is bigger than his belly. There, and actually it's so apt as he's the only one eating the sandwich. Like he always puts himself in front of the food.
My timing is perfect.
You wouldn't see all that fruit.
Now, I'm not going to read it in Irish because I haven't got a clue how to say it. But I'm hoping Damien remembers it. Time for bed.
Yeah. But there was a saying that she always used when we were kids. When for the umpteenth time she'd have said, what did I not tell you? To get to bed. And eventually would come, August on Shinna will up to feckin' bed. Now. That's how we learnt our Irish.
Now, there's a few things I've learned about my mother that I've never heard her say, or their stories that have been lost in my memory. But one of the little sayings I love. If a pig is pork, what's its tail? Mudguard for his arse. Now, somewhere along the line, I think it's 89. Sorry, it's even 96, Luke.
Yeah, probably.
Aidan used to go out on his bike an awful lot, riding everywhere. And this one particular day, a phone call was made. Back to me, man. Aidan or Luke, if you could go.
Yeah. So it's titled God, You're an Awful Woman. So, in the words of Nana herself, when young Aidan was a teenager, he was often on his racer and he could be out all day. One of these days he phoned me to say that he had a puncture and could Dad come pick me up, and the rescue was on. I sent your father off to get young Aidan. Yes, off to Skerries he went, but somewhere between Devonish and Skerries your dad began to question if I had sent him to the right direction, or if I had sent him in the wrong direction. Young Aidan wouldn't be out this way if he was cycling around the mountains. Your dad figured out it was Enniskerry and not actually Skerries. So he turned around and headed in the right direction and eventually picked up Aidan. When they got home, Dad turned to me. God, you're an awful woman. Do you know where you sent me? There was a smile in her dad's and Aidan's face, and we all saw the funny side of it.
Very good. Now, early on in this story when I started doing, I looked at, she got to 104 there.
She what?
104. I rang up Anne.
Okay.
And I says, Anne, I'm writing this little thing about Ma. Is there any stories you can tell me? Same thing I did with Damien. Because Anne was far enough away, I says I better contact her first because she sends my post, probably take about a year to get here. So if Sean doesn't mind. No, I'm going to just go on to page 105 in the next 3 stories. So, yeah, here we go. That's Anne. That's Shirley. We're going on to that page in a second, Rob.
Okay.
If you just go for the dancing queen, Sean.
So this is from Anne. Cyprus was a week of bonding with Ma. We had a beautiful hotel, the biggest pool in Europe. It was February and Ma's birthday. We were having dinner in the big dining room. The guy's playing on the piano. Ma orders a whiskey, me a beer. Ma orders another, and me another. Let's dance, Ma says. Ma, it's background music. So, we're on holidays. So we danced, and the piano rolled with us. Ma led me through a waltz, a samba, and even line dancing. Time to sit down. When we left the stage, we got applauded from the people sitting having a meal. It was a great night.
Yeah.
One of the strongest memories of Mam was when I was a kid, was the time I wanted a doll's house.
So this is from Little Anne.
This is from Anne. Yeah.
Mam went around to the local grocers called Lipton's, just on Sundrive Road, and when Mam came back, she brought back 2 big boxes, and with some imagination and some creativity, over the next while, my dollhouse came to a reality.
Look at the face of him.
Cutting some holes with a good knife, the windows were placed, a small piece of our kitchen tablecloth turned into curtains, matchboxes became the tables, and the TV, and an empty cigarette carton, and some ice pop sticks changed into a bed fit for a queen, and well-placed scraps of wool transformed into luxury fitted carpets. Over the months that Mam and I worked in the doll's house, we transformed some old boxes from nothing to something which I will always cherish, and gave me a gift of creative arts and crafts which I hold on to this day. Thanks, Ma. Love, Anne.
Very good.
Late in the story, late in this book, I had an idea of the way I wanted it, the way it was becoming, and I heard this story and this has to go into it. This was a story you had a conversation, not with me, but with Damien. And Damien rang me up and he said, right, this is the story. And you know what, it's a classic, it has to go into the book. And Damien told it to me, and Damien emailed to me, and I went, you know what, yeah, it has to. So this is probably one of the stories I'm going to read, if you don't mind.
Cool.
This is actually a memory from Mam. I remember in the late 60s, your dad worked a lot in Carlow. His brother Jim Carroll, who had a lot of contacts because he'd been a politician and the Lord Mayor of Dublin in 1957. Your father was away a lot. He was gone from Monday to Friday. And he was gone and we wouldn't see him again till Friday night. It was then that he used to bring home the bags of sweets for the kids. One time he was coming home after a week in Carlow. He was driving the big pickup truck. There was three in the front, and there's three in the excuse me, just give me false teeth back in. There were three of them in the front of the cab. They were driving along.
I remember that.
They were driving along and he stopped at a crossroads. There were two young people hitching a lift. A person hitching a lift was very common back in those days. Anyways, your father apologised and waved them on because there was no room in the front or the back, as there was all the tools were in there, but the boys weren't happy. So as they drove away, they heard a big bang of some sort. Your father looked back, but he couldn't see anything. So he kept on driving. When he got to Harold's Cross, he parked the truck in the yard, the famous yard, down at the end of the park. Your dad went to the back of the truck to unload all the plastering equipment, and there he saw what the bang was. There on a piece of chain, caught in the back of the door, were attached 2 fingers. Your dad screamed. Well, to be honest, we're not sure exactly what happened. So what did happen? Well, it appeared that one of the young fellas was so angry he lashed out with a piece of chain, and the piece of chain caught his 2 fingers and pulled his 2 fingers off. The funny was, I never asked your dad, what did you do with the fingers? Now, to be honest, when I read that, the first thing that came to my mind was,
What did he do with fingers?
talk about giving somebody 2 fingers. You'll never do that again to a guy in his pickup truck. And that's got to be your first.
I said he got the finger out the day after in the next job.
Now, there was a reason why. Excuse me, you're laughing. You're just thinking of somebody going, oh yeah. Excuse me, can I get a pickup? No, sorry, there's no room. And all of a sudden he only has 3 fingers left on his left hand.
Yeah.
You're terrible. What kind of child have you brought up? One of the reasons why I actually wrote this book was the next 2 pages, 110 and 111. And it was the fact that my mother had met some pretty famous people. And to be honest, when I was writing the book, I wasn't sure whether this was a story or did it actually happen. And then I started talking to other people. Did that really happen? And the guy went, yeah, it actually did happen. I won't read from it, but this Princess Grace and Prince Rainier from Monaco came to Ireland in '61, I think it was.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the dad was a councillor, so he may have been asked to go to one of the functions. And then the following year, some guy called JFK came over from America saying, I'm Irish, I love Ireland. And again, the father was asked, well, you're part of the Dublin counselling team, would you like to go to the function? And of course, where Dad went, Mum went. So which means basically Mum met one or two of the most influential people from the 1960s.
Gorgeous she was.
Yeah.
She was taller than him.
Yeah, I'm going to skip across a few pages, sorry man. You know, go on.
She was really. What?
No, go on.
No, she was beautiful. Like she, lovely legs and lovely face and everything.
This was Princess Grace.
Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember you talking about Princess Grace
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And you always said that she was a lovely woman, but she was also elegant and dressed well and everything.
He was smaller than her,
Okay.
but he had a new suit on, and they were only coming out at the time. The material, you
They
know.
were the head of the fashion world.
Yeah.
So a few years later, when the kids were all living up in the well, I'm not sure if no, I wasn't born. Thank God. Dave rings me up and he says, did you put the story into the book? I go, no. I have loads of stories. He says, no, you have to put this into the book. This is a classic. And we're shooting down to page 126. And Dave says, no, you have to put these two stories in the book.
Which came first? The chicken or the egg? Chickens in the back garden at a little shed fence all the way around with wire. You remember them?
Yeah.
Yes, we had chickens. So we always had eggs. The shed had shelves all around the inside and with hay to relax on. The chickens were happy. Well,
The Rex.
when we cleaned it out, one chicken must have been very happy. One morning, as we picked the eggs, we found a huge one. With a surgical skill, we sliced off the top.
In other words, basically it was a chopping board went,
Remember that? And we poured the yolk out. There was two in it. You remember?
That's right.
And we kept the shell on the mantelpiece. We found a double yolk inside. The shell was still intact, so we kept it. And we were very proud of that eggshell, showing off to everyone. It must have been double the size of a normal egg. When our granddad Deering visited us, he always brought his pet rabbit with him. With a twist here and a flick there, a tea towel turned into a rabbit, and it could run up his arm. As the years passed, the rabbit returned. This time it belonged to Mam. Except this rabbit liked to play and jump out of Ma's hands. Somehow Ma always managed to catch it. And as she calmed it down by petting it, we could see the little ears gently move, as if we listened closely. Maybe we could hear a little squeak. Do you remember? Out of tea towel. There's an example there, there's a
And
picture there.
then Rex running after them.
after the
Right.
chickens.
Fantastic.
Like I said, I'm actually glad I probably wasn't around, but that's fine. Now you go to a page 118, Dave. I'll let you read directly. Dave is a songwriter, first and foremost. Dave's a poet, and I'm the amateur writer. Amateur as in, Dave has been doing writing all his life, the songs. Dave's been writing since he was a kid, 118. So, Dave read this out to me, and I said, oh yeah, I want that in the book. You glanced underneath if you want it.
Here.
No, okay.
And this is just a small poem from
Dave.
Dave.
This is to his mom.
This is to you directly.
That's you on the left.
There, Dave wrote you that.
Show me a dove, I'll show you my man. She taught us to fly like no one else can. Through blizzard winds we would find our base. She guided us from place to place. Through many a nest we would rest our head, unknown to us the road ahead. Sheltering us through the rain and snow, we were finding our strength. We got places to go. She knew in her heart we would spread our wings and explore the world and do exciting things. I've built my nest now and I know how much my mother taught me so.
Well done.
That's very nice, David.
You like?
Now, to be honest, we're going to go to directly to the next page if you wouldn't mind, 119. There was a story that my mother told me, and I think everybody thinks the mother as just the mother. They never think about when she was young and what she did and the whole lot. And to be honest, this just destroyed my idea of mother. And if you listen to it, you'll realise why. Luke, go for it.
Yeah, the Joyrider from Anne. Well, you wouldn't think it, but when I was young, I was far from an angel all the time. When I was about 6 or 7, there was a lovely priest called Father Turley, who was from the Westland Road parish, who often came up to the Bagot Street area. Every time he saw a mother, he'd ask the same question. Where's your young one? My bike has gone missing again. Yes, I used to take his bike for joyrides. Once Father Turley was in the door, I'd hop on the bike and gone. I wouldn't take it for long. I didn't have a bike of my own, and it seemed like a shame to have a bike just sitting there. What do you expect me to do?
Very good.
Now, over the years, my mum has had a few jobs.
And a cousin of mine lived in where did he live, David?
Which one, Jimmy?
Charlemont Street.
Right.
And he used to leave his bike in the thing. You know, there was a big thing, like there was loads of people living in Charlemont Street at the time. And my aunt came down to my mother and said, "You tell your aunt to leave Stephen's bike alone. He can't go anywhere on the bike because she has it." But I didn't care about him.
But was this a time when he didn't lock the bikes?
I nobody locked the bikes.
Yeah, but it was after this that people started locking the bikes.
You know,
This is the reason.
Yeah,
exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, my aunt Nan was very annoyed.
Where did you go on the bike?
Anywhere, Bagot Street and all around.
At least you were using it.
Yeah. My father bought me a second-hand bike,
Oh,
and then Christy used to run away with it.
I heard it was the other way around.
That's when he got one first before me.
you were taking his bike.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. And do you know what? Cycling in them days, you'd cycle anywhere.
Anywhere.
I mean, I can't believe the distance that she's actually cycled.
Sure, when I got my own good bike,
Yeah.
me and Angela Coombs went to a dance, and she was on the,
Crossbar.
not the crossbar.
Oh, the saddle on the back. There was a little carrier, wasn't there, on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to go on that, and I'd take her home.
Oh my goodness. Where was the dance?
It was in a place called, it was in a very,
Remote place.
yeah.
Probably down the country somewhere.
Oh no, it wasn't down the country.
Oh.
But at that time,
I thought I was going
there were
to.
dances everywhere. There
Yeah,
was loads of choices.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So you ventured out then, since you had the bike, you said, right, we're going to go a little bit further afield.
Yeah. What's this, the name of the place was?
It wasn't the embankment, was it?
I wasn't that far
Pardon?
enough.
No, it was a
115.
place that just had a big
Oh yeah.
thing, you know. And
The
they
Bridge
left
of
it.
Brooks is up there then as well, wasn't it?
Oh no, wasn't.
There was nothing out there then.
Was Bridget books not old?
Wouldn't have been
that's all
Green
countryside,
Acres
Jesus.
up by there, was it like the
That's
tree
what I
off
mean.
Green
Bridget
Acres?
books would be there on its
So you're
own.
talking about the 50s.
Yeah.
Stocking
There's
Lane,
nothing
up
built
that
up
way?
there.
No.
Like
Which
the
side of the
Fords.
mountains was it? I mean, as in, you know, right, say you get to Rathfarnham, was it this
Where we
side?
talking about?
Like
It was out Dunleary.
Oh,
What's
Dunleary.
the four
It was
provinces,
out
wasn't it?
Dunleary.
No,
I remember
the
Top Hat used to be out there,
What's
wasn't it?
there?
Probably the big top, maybe.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
The big
about.
top
I know
in-
where it is.
Yeah.
Was it Top Hat, David?
Or top,
Top
hat.
Hat.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, it was called it afterwards, probably.
Yeah.
With the
It was the
original
big place.
name.
Yeah.
I danced in the top
Google.
hat.
So that was a bit of a cycle.
These are young. Google.
Now you
I don't-
probably went
Don't
Rings
even try
End,
it.
Sandygate.
Of course you did. It's not that far when you think
You
about
went
it.
to
Yeah,
the old
when you
name,
came up that
say
way,
you
so
walked
you're talking
on
along the
Top Hat.
coast.
They were living in Rings End almost.
Yeah, of
What's
course.
it called
No,
before
it's only
that?
up the road.
You go back to
You went
the
oiling.
time it was built.
Yeah.
But
We used to live beside a woman, and when she'd be calling the kids in, come in, Paddy, what was his name? Paddy something. And when I get you in, I'll half kill you.
I'd have
She
kill
wasn't
you.
going to full kill him. She was going to half kill him.
We need to keep going, so we have to have her back before
I
dark.
went up to see Eunice's mother, and it was a Christmas time, and
115.
we were all getting all
On the 15,
goodies,
come
you
backwards. Come backwards.
know. And I saw this man and woman, but like you see, she always had short hair, but this was all long. And I saw her husband there, they weren't talking. Well, like they were sick. And I said, where did I see them people? And it was a few weeks after going up to see Eunice's mother that I found out, and I was able to send it. She was a neighbour of mine, and she died.
That's right.
Him and her died
Yeah.
nearly at the same time.
Mm.
But I was able to get all the news from the office. There's an office there, isn't there?
Yeah,
And she told me who
that's
she
right.
was.
She did. Yeah, this is Caroline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never know who you're going to meet.
No, we don't ever want to know. My mother and you were going to be strippers together.
How many people can actually say, I was a stripper and I was proud of it?
Yeah, this is the local bully.
Now, to be honest, a couple of years ago, or a couple of months ago, when I found out about my mother basically being a
Stripper.
no, not a stripper, but I won't say joyrider, but yeah, a joyrider. I said, well, fine. It says, okay, you rob bikes. Did you do anything else when you were a kid? And she told me this little story. And I'm going to actually read this one, Dave, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
give that one, I'm going to give that one to Ma, back to Ma.
Out the page.
And basically, this is all about when my ma was about 6 or 7 years old. And she had a job collecting milk from the shop, which is just a few minutes away. So on this one day, I was walking out the shop, milk pail in hand, and not caring milk. Well, I was 7. When a boy came up to me and started hassling me,
You know what I mean?
and without thinking, the milk pail came up and smacked him in the head and knocked him down. Guess what? He ran off crying, not me. Thank God the milk pail was actually empty. It wasn't, he didn't hassle me on the way back from the shop.
Down for the milk for me mother.
Now later, his mother came down to my mother. Well, and he kind of had sorted an argument, and it ended up with an understanding, and everything was sorted. Now, about 12 years later, my cousin Jimmy Deering, John Deering, was coming back from England, and decided to go up and see him. So I knocked at the door. How's it going, John? How are you? I walk into the room, and the guy over in the corner, and the guy turns around and says, "You Anne Deering?" "Yes, I am." "Do you know who I am?" "No." If you remember hitting a little kid when you were about 7 or 8 with a big milk pail?" "Yeah." "Well, that's me." Well, they both joked about it and had become best of friends afterwards. Yeah, so basically that was my mother when she was a kid. And to be honest, I wouldn't like being known my mother when she was a kid. She was a terror, a thief, and a bully. A few years later, Ma decided after having her first and second job, raising a family, she said, I'm going to go back to work. And if Sean wouldn't mind, I'm going to give him around to him. And it's a better job to start it.
As I mentioned earlier, my best friend Phyllis found me a job in the kitchens of Mount Argus. It was hard work, but it was also great fun. Over the years working there, I met some real characters, from the older priests to the new young recruits. I worked most Christmas days and most special occasions. I worked there for 16 years and then retired, and nearly 2 years later they asked me back for another 2 years. Mum always brought something home for us from Mount Argus: soups, steak, roasts and desserts, usually in 2 or 3 big bags, through the rain and in some cases in the snow. White knuckled. My mum did what she had to do. When Mum worked late on special occasions, she always had pockets full of after eights left behind on the tables. They would be melting and sometimes crushed, but we didn't mind. And if she had a good night, a priest might give her a bottle of wine or maybe even a nice bottle of brandy. I remember one of us always picked up Mum on a Sunday afternoon, and through the years we must have met all the priests there. Mum, like her mother before her, made sure we all had hot food in our bellies and clothes on our backs.
Now, I'm going to skip a few of these stories. There was a poem sent to me, and when I read it, so I've gone to page 42, and when I read it, I says I have to, I read the first 3 lines, and without hesitation says, these 2 next pages combine the whole book. If I got this at the beginning of the book, I wouldn't have written it, because it combines everything in the book. And I'd like the author to actually read it. Sorry, it's only 42, David.
Okay. This is, as Raymond said, is your story put into a poem, into verse. So, heart-stopping days can make us excited. Heart-stopping days can arrive uninvited. Heart-stopping days swoop like an eagle. Heart-stopping days are not for the feeble. It was sunny and bright on the day she was born. Her mother was happy, although a bit worn. As she looked at her closely, her heart filled with joy. I'm glad, she whispered, it wasn't a boy. She went with a friend to her first teenage dance. Her chest it was pounding, her head in a trance. Fretfully sitting, just watching the band, he tapped her right shoulder and lifted her hand. As they danced to the sound of the latest new twist, he stopped for a moment and she got her first kiss. When her first son arrived, he looked oh so red, a strange little man beside her in bed. As the years rolled on quickly, and those gifts of love 8 more times from the God above. Those years were tough, and those years were wearing, but with 9 children to love, it was all about caring. And then it arrived, like a blue lightning rod, her first gift of love. He went back to God. And so it was different, a new candle ignited. It was the arrival of the uninvited. She now entered a time the reverse of the coin. From that kiss on the dance floor, she was going to lose 2 more. Her knight who had kissed her in that faraway haze, and a daughter whose hair caught the autumn sun's rays. And today all the small ones have grown up and gone, but her heart full of love is still energetic and strong. She still dances and walks and enjoys the quiet ways, and is thankful for a life of heart-stopping days.
Now, there was a poem that somewhere in my ma's 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I don't know where she got it, but it's been around as long as I am. I know it's not as long as you think it is. And it was basically all about a dog. And the name wasn't Rex. Maybe my mother picked it up. Maybe my mother picked this up and went, God, there's a poem about Rex. It wasn't. It was a poem about a dog called Sex. John, go for it.
Well, we're not going to read it all, are we?
We're going to read every last minute of it. I'm sorry. It's only 20 seconds long.
For God's sake, ask them children to be listening.
No, okay. Basically, go for the very last bit.
Raymond,
Everybody knows.
Nanny read it.
Yeah, oh, God.
I know you don't read it.
Well, we've heard it so many times.
Yeah, everybody knows the story.
Ah,
Right?
yeah.
Basically about a dog called Sex. But I was reminded when I was doing this book of a little story that just happened at the end of it.
Some years ago, man told me the story above on a night out, and afterwards a man came up to her. He said that it had been years since he had heard that story, and the last time was when my mum had told that exact same story in Sligo 25 years before.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Do you know how old that story is? 40 years.
Oh my goodness.
You can turn the page back.
And it was,
Nearly as old as Danny Boy.
I think everybody actually has a copy of the book.
oh yeah.
Go for it.
I didn't even charge them.
And there was one of these stories that probably I'm just going to very quickly go through it. And it's called The Bus Stop. It's actually the story before it. Page 34.
Page 34.
Let's go.
I don't want to do a few more words.
Yeah.
Sorry.
34.
134.
Oh, sorry, you twice said 24.
And this is actually about a story about me ma and Hillary. And just this small little incident that happened one night.
Hillary.
My mum often worked late in Mount Argus. On this one particular night, it was getting dark. Mum was walking home from along Kimmings Road when she spotted Hillary waiting on the bus stop, waiting to go to Pat. Well, Mum started to slow down a little, humped her back, and started to drag her foot slowly as she was walking towards Hillary. At first, Hillary didn't notice her come towards her, but when she heard the moan, she turned and saw this hunchback. As man, the hunchback got closer, the moaning and growling got louder, and Hillary began to walk, kind of like, okay, guys, I'm getting out of here, you know. She was just about to run away when she noticed who it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Man started to laugh, and Hillary let out a little scream of relief, and immediately Mam and Hillary started in hysterics of laughter. Hugs and kisses were exchanged, and the legend of the hunchback and the Carroll family began.
Oh God.
There is, to be honest, I'm up against time, so I'm going to read the last page. It's page 146.
Sorry, no,
Actually, we'll do 144.
All yours.
Yeah. This is a reflection from you. Your thoughts as Raymond kind of, went into your head. Magical moments.
there you go.
Throughout my life there have been very special days with many incidents which happened on a given day which can be written about and put into a story. But there have been many, many magical moments and people in my life which don't fit easily into a story. The many times I got a call from a friend who had a problem. The times when I had a difficult decision to make and I called a friend or relative and they listened and gave me some practical advice. The times as a teenager when I wanted to go dancing and my friend said, if you want to go, we'll go with you. The magic of being in the company of honest and decent people. I grew up with decent people and I've been lucky that most people have always treated me like a decent person. My life is made up of all those moments, millions of those moments. I've been very lucky to have had a lifetime of magical moments. Yes, I've been very lucky.
I didn't know how to finish this book. I said, you know what, I'm just going to read over it. As I read over it, I finished the book. And then there was a conclusion to be made. And in many ways, we all know Anne Carroll is a very private person. And there's certain things they'll love and ask for nothing in return. There's many more stories about this lady that could be told. Each of us knows that. and has a lifetime of special memories. Too many to write in this particular book. This book is about a lady who earned respect and love of each other's through her actions. We've all been part of Anne's life, but they don't appear in this book. And some of them is basically I wrote a few punchlines because there's so many stories that I wasn't allowed to tell. The time when Anne and her friend Charlotte found Lara in the toilet, I wasn't allowed to write about it. The time Eunice tried to fill the mother and after staying the night. And she's knocking on the door the next day as if she just arrived. My mother opens the door and goes, "Really? Get in here, will you?"
Nice try, Eunice.
The time when Sheba, yeah.
You're missing him.
No, I'm skipping.
Alright, okay.
The time when Sheba jumped up on one of Ronnie's coaches when he was staying over from America. The time my mother took Christy's bike and Christy had to go around with my mum's pram. That was definitely a story I couldn't write about. And the 40 coats of Ronnie going to get the bread during the bread strike of the 90s. Now, my mother had asked me there were certain things not to write about. And these are just a little collection. But I can guarantee, if you ask her, she'll tell you. You just say, don't remember.
If you went into Lipton's and you bought something for a shilling at the time, I get a big tin of bread.
Well, the problem was, you see, there was a bread strike, right? And so you're only limited
He'd be sent
to
around.
one loaf per purchase.
And then he'd be sent around.
So she'd send us down for the smallest amount you could buy, 2 rashers, and buy the bread. We didn't get the bread free, but it meant that we could
More
have
bread, like.
we sometimes we had 12 loaves in the house. It was ridiculous during the fucking bread
We had
strike.
to send it down to Betsy Carroll. Honest to God.
And you couldn't freeze